You guys must be wondering, what the heck is this? This is a piece of wood. Yes, it's actually mainly used for food photography. Now in food photography, there's an aspect called food styling, which you either put the food on top of a plate or on top of a surface to make the food look much nicer. Now what this is used for is actually you can be able to put pieces of meat, steak, to be able to have this very textured look. Now there are other forms of this kind of wood which is used, like this one, which is a rounder one and most likely more common. Now that's what we're going to be talking about today, food photography. Today's video we're going to be talking about my 5 favorite individual food shots. So let's get on to it. Okay. So coming in 5th is this burger shot. I call this the big shot. Now why is it? Because the burger looks a lot bigger. So a little background on this photo. This was actually my first few assignments. I did not have any time to prepare, nor did I knew what I was shooting on that day itself. I only had my camera and my lights. So I actually went down to the restaurant and they actually handed me out the burger along on this wooden surface. Just like I mentioned at the start, it can be placed on different kinds of surfaces, so this is actually one of them. Now without any background, I had to find somewhere to shoot this particular dish. I actually encountered this concrete background at the back and find that the surface on one of the tables was actually very good. I actually pushed the table closer to the concrete surface and experimented with a few different angles and finally got this. So even though this photo was about 6 years ago and doesn't have the best lighting nor the best styling, I somehow still like the angle that is being shot and it's something that I'm really proud of. So now this is the photo at number 4. It's actually a photo of macarons. This macarons was actually a friend's friend who wanted her business to be shot. So I actually asked if she could send the macarons to me and I had it shot right at my home studio itself. It was shot at around the same time which I actually done the previous burger shot, so I was quite experimental. I had my 50mm 1.4, so I decided to use it as I wanted some form of a blurry background. And somehow amazingly I managed to get this result. So as you can see from the photo, I'm trying to arrange it to be stacked up together and also showing a form of texture between the macarons itself. So at the top left you can see that one of the macarons I actually cut it in half. I wanted to show what the filling was and how the texture was inside. Simple enough, the surface itself is actually just a plain white marble and the back was actually just a white board. So after about 20 shots, I managed to come out with one of these very nice shots, and ever since that day, I was really proud of this photo, which is at number 4. Now my third favorite one is gonna be a little bit of a cheating as there are 2 angles which I want to show you guys. I'm somehow stuck that actually these 2 photos look just as good and I could not decide which is better. So you guys can let me know down in the comments below which angle do you prefer. So for this first photo, I actually shot it at the lower angle. I wanted to make it have a very big shot just like the burger itself. I wanted it to have a very overwhelming feel, but somehow you can see the texture of it. If you ask me, this looks like some form of a small little Mount Everest with the ice cream on the top. So I really like this photo as it actually shows a lot of texture and you can see clearly a foreground and a background. On the bottom left, you can see that the edge of the toes is actually blurred, while at the back you can see some form of bokeh behind the toast itself. This photo is simple as it doesn't have very intensive setup, but just the dish itself, and I really like how the light and all the different textures is being kept in here. So for this angle, I actually shot it a little at the 2/3 degree to be able to see the different textures within it. So compared to the first photo, which the objective was actually to make it look much bigger, this one actually I wanted to capture some of the different sauces and syrups that have been used in this dish itself. You can see the base that is very clear, the chocolate sauce that's being swiveled around on the wooden plate itself. This photo is simple and bright, and this is why I like it at number 3. Number 2, this photo was actually shot at an Italian cafe. Now the chef itself was actually very professional. He had all the ingredients and knew what each ingredient was. Unfortunately, this photo was actually shot 4 years ago, so I forgot what is it called. For you guys who are Italians out there or who know what this dish is, please leave me down in the comments below as I had trouble trying to Google and find it. Compared to the other photos that I mentioned so far, this one had a little form of movement. As you can see, the hand is actually at the top, pouring off this olive oil onto this dish itself. I also decided to work with what ingredients they had at the restaurant, such as the tomatoes, the big cheese, and the other oils which I placed on the left and at the back. So if you can see at the background, there's actually this concrete or marble feel. This is actually one of my food photography surfaces which I brought down on that day itself. And somehow it added to this whole look, and I'm really pleased with how the different colors harmonize together. So even though the food is placed at the bottom of the photo, you can see that the oil leads your eyes to the food which is at the bottom itself. So with the combination of these colors and along with the movement of the oil down, this actually is my number 2 favorite. So now, let's talk about my favorite photo, which is at number 1. Now this photo is actually a photo of otoro. Otoro is the underbelly meat of the tuna. I was actually given this dish while I had a short stint working at a Japanese restaurant. The boss needed his menu to be short and handed me this dish from the chef. I gently arranged the otoro meat such that they won't overlap but be able to show you a form of foreground and background. Starting with the first slice on the right, you can see clearly that this otoro has very tender meat. The bouncing of the light shows you the meat linings along with the freshness of it. The second slice then complements the first one, while the third one is actually to give a certain form of proportion to this dish itself. You can see around it there's also the wasabi on the right side, along with the other leafings of flowers to be able to make this dish pop out in terms of colors. So with what I mentioned, it actually makes a very nice harmony within this whole layout itself. I hope you guys like what I've shown you guys of my 5 favorite individual food shots today. If you're wondering what gear did I use, I just simply used my A7 II with this Canon 24mm pancake lens. Now even though the autofocus of this Comlight adapter wasn't the best, it had very close focusing distance as I mentioned on my 5 favorite lenses. So while the objective of this video is to cover 5 individual food photos, the next one I'm going to be covering my 5 favorite setups. If you guys enjoyed these 5 favorite photos of mine, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe down below if you haven't done so yet, and ring the bell notification over here so that you'll be updated with my next upload. If not, I'll see you guys in the next video.